Our first step in building our new frontier outpost is to acquire the materials and parts we need for construction.
This feels wrong. Why am I viewing this on a terminal? Can't the confinement end already? I see they've brought you along with me too. I haven't seen the outside of my quarters in weeks.
The equipment we need is currently sitting near the planet Argoon, nearby what appears to be an abandoned manufacturing facility.
Argoon. I remember that name. Damn, they really have shipped me all the way to the Outer Rim for this one, eh? I should have stayed out of the way and not inspected a thing. Actually, if I didn't, I'd probably be floating space debris now.
TIE Bomber Alpha 1 will inspect all containers to identify the ones which contain the materials we're looking for.
So that's how it is. Maarek has to pay his penance for being nosy. What did we hear Maarek say he hates? Inspection duties in a TIE bomber? Well, we know what we're going to make him do then.
Though our reconnaissance flight reported the area abandoned and the containers intact, we suspect that the rebels scared off the base personnel and are planning an assault to take the materials for themselves.
Again with the rebels. How did they scare off the base personnel? Show them their Wookiee? Let me guess, this is a simple retrieval operation that will turn into a desperate battle due to trademark poor Imperial timing. Assuming they don't plan on me having a little accident in this mission.
The Victory-class Star Destroyer Stalwart and the modified frigate Ludwig will help provide cover for this operation and drive off any rebel attempt to seize the materials.
Be honest, they're going to do what most Outer Rim starships have done in my experience. They'll hang back, take a few potshots at fighters, and generally do nothing. Gone are the days of the Empire swooping in and taking out corvettes.
Our forces must protect the loading operation until we retrieve all the necessary materials and parts.
I like the animations, but why does a galaxy-spanning empire need to scrap with rebels on the Outer Rim in order to acquire station-building materials? Could you not have ordered these in from the core worlds, or... you know what, never mind. Maarek will do it. It feels weird to be out here again, honestly. I don't know what to expect. But I suppose there's nothing new there. Okay. Bombers ho!
Forces are trying to steal the equipment.
What a surprise, the rebels are already here. What do we got? Some X-Wings.
Alpha 1, inspect all the containers.
Later.
Deal with the rebel ships.
Look, I'll help with the rebel ships, and we'll have a great time. And then, and only then, holy moly, that thing's about to blow. What the hell? Why is that blowing up? Oh! Wow! Okay, so we're fighting in space debris now. That'll be good for the containers. Red 2, you're a goner. Goodbye. Red 3's next. And here comes my trademark. Down you go! Some Y-Wings to deal with. That should be easy enough. Yeah, no problem. Wow, talk about close flying. Splinter and a pile of containers. Well, I guess I better carry on with my inspection duty now. Full speed to the engines, and I'll just let them do that in the background. But unlike some of you lesser pilots, I know how to deal with this. You see, the rebels will have put a tracking beacon on one of the containers specifically. When we inspect that container, shut up, I don't care about 2. When we inspect that... Would you be quiet? Anyway, as I was saying, the rebels will have planted a little beacon on one of the containers. So I have to inspect all the containers with the correct parts that don't have the rebel thing on it. Once the beacon is inspected, it'll home back to the rebels and they'll come in with a second wave. If I don't do that, I can just sit in space and happily inspect things and let the heavy lifters do their thing. You know what? I'm going to talk about my past life because I'm not going to be doing anything this mission. So, I was in the middle of this amazing stunt in my swoop bike over these high rises, and unfortunately I totaled the bike, so I decided to go back to the staging area. Turns out the feds were raiding the area under the pretense of searching, so I had no money and no place to go, when Pargo, my friend, gives me a shout and tells me that these folks at the maze might be Bordel's spies with info on my dad, who had disappeared. So I head back home, and my mum tells me there's a swoop stunt that I'd done that had been recorded and was broadcast, and that the feds knew my name now. So I was like, we've got to get out of here, but then the agents turned up, and my mum, being the sharpshooter she was, killed one, and we tried to make an escape. But, you know, too many agents, we were bundled onto a shuttle, and we left the home planet of Quan. The two of us were introduced to some fella called Gwaj, who explained that they'd found me by questioning the swoop gang, and then captured and interrogated Pargo. Then there was this disturbance, which, you know, sent Gwaj and one of the Bordali to leave the room with just one guard left in it. And the guard decided to put Pargo in some restraints, and good old Pargo fought back and overpowered the guard, and stuck him in the restraints. After he got us three, this shuttle lurched in, and it was caught by a tractor beam, controlled by the Imperial-class Star Destroyer Vengeance. Gwaj came into the room moments later to assess the situation, and everyone, including Pargo, decided to stand down because we didn't want to die, you know?
Message from Mission Critical Craft.
Yeah, okay. Good stuff. Stormtroopers boarded the shuttle and brought everyone on board. I was separated from the others and was in a cell when an Imperial officer informed me that the Empire had pacified the Civil War. He proceeded to question me about my abilities, and I told him exactly how good I was. Next day I was escorted to an amphitheater, and Admiral Morton arrived, introduced himself, and explained the history of the Civil War.
Message from Vitalcraft. They have
Good
started
stuff.
docking operations.
And that I had this opportunity to serve the Empire. After the briefing, me and Pargo chose to stay on with the Empire and the ship.
Message from Mission Critical Craft. They have started docking operations.
3 months of duty later, and I was a mechanic for one of the TIE series, and I was getting really good at repairing them when they returned from combat missions.
Message from Vitalcraft. They have started docking operations.
One day I was piloting a newly repaired TIE Interceptor, my favourite craft by the way, near the planet Farboon, not to be confused with Argun, to test it, when I picked up a distress signal from a Lambda-class shuttle under attack from Rebel starfighters, and all its escorts had been destroyed. I flew in, I took out 2 Y-Wings, then some X-Wings arrived, but I was able to take them out. And by the time there was space debris and me sat there, the reinforcements turned up with their usual great Imperial timing. I returned to the Vengeance, only to be told that the shuttle I'd saved carried Admiral Morden himself. Morden praised me, and that was how I got into the pilot training program. I was brought to the Imperial base to be trained under Jonah T. Stark, and after some time in the combat chamber, I was on a routine training mission in a TIE bomber with Admiral Trox, who went over the usual gumph. And that's why I hate bomber inspections, because it was my very first mission in a craft, I was really excited, and turns out it sucked. But during the mission, 6 freighters arrived, I inspected them, and then the 5th freighter turned up, and of course, it had weapons. Then Rebel shuttles arrived and engaged the fighters, but I was able to take them out. Well, 3 of them at least.
Message from Mission Critical Craft. They have started docking operations.
The conclusion I drew on this was that in order to survive as an Imperial pilot, you've got to fly a better craft with reinforced hull plating. And the only way to do that was to be the best pilot in any given squadron. So, that's what I ended up doing, and that's how they stick me in these craft. The weird thing though, was that I had this vision from Emperor Palpatine. And I can't do the voice, so sorry in advance, Mr. Palpatine.
Maarek, you have been called upon to join us. To join for the good of all beings. You are mine.
Pretty creepy stuff, yeah? But anyway, that's a little selection from my biography, and I hope it's made this flying mission a bit more interesting, because I knew this was going to be dull as ditch water. But when you're stuck in a TIE bomber, you prefer that to fighting off hordes of rebels, trust me. The maneuverability on this thing is dreadful. Now all that's left to do is escort this heavy lifter home. Oh, the excitement! Anytime now. Now, can I have my canteen privileges back, please? I think I've proven to the Empire that I'm capable of a basic base building operation.